Great morning, great evening, great afternoon, wherever you're at in the world. I'm here with my closest and dearest friends. We're together, we form Voltron. We got problems. Uh, to my left, I got Curtis G. Mother Martin.
What up? What up?
I got the trash vegan. And below, lo and behold, we have the butterfly bully.
Hey, everybody.
And today we have a special guest who's sitting in on the panel, and I'll let her introduce herself. All right, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Can't hear.
You on
Can't hear
mute?
you.
It was working.
It was working.
We got problems.
We also got solutions.
Yep, she just got to turn it on.
All right. Let's see if we have is Miss Ginger, are you ready now? No? Maybe so. All right. Tonight's topic is Black excellence. We're giving the flowers to a group of young male and females who represented uh, Black excellence out of the Christian Flournoy. They the first students that they make history with third consecutive win at Harvard debate competition. They battle against 25 countries, and I like to hear Curtis G. Martin what you think about this.
Well, man, I'm excited for them. One thing I think that when it comes to our community and we focus and we have to debate something, we can tell the story from the bottom to the top, right? Because they try to keep us on the bottom, and then we always rise to the top. So when I see people, youngsters like that, I know that they can speak their story. And once you speak your story or you speak the research that you've done coming from where we come from, then the truth be spoken. And from somebody that's privileged, they can't hang with that.
Well said. Well said. Butterfly.
Well, I'm all for it. I was so excited to see that story, and I believe they're from Atlanta. They're
The school is out of Atlanta.
Atlanta Great Debaters or something like that. And
Yeah,
this
they
is
know.
their third year.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, this year they had to do it online, which I think is. I don't know. I think it would have been a little bit harder to do online than in person because in person you see like you can feel people's energies and you
Yeah.
can read the crowd. Online it's like so I don't know. I think they did a wonderful job this year. Well, all 3 years. But how about you, Trash?
I just find it kind of odd that we never get to really hear about these stories. The stories they want to play on the TV all the time is what a water boy did, or what artist did this, or what artist did that. We don't ever get a chance to really toast to Black excellence, like having our babies up there, being able to go at it and compete against that many countries and still come out on top consistently, consecutively. So, you know what I mean? We need to go ahead and put more fuel into those cells and a little less into the foolishness that's usually getting the bulk of the media time.
Hmm. What about you, Miss Ginger?
Still can't hear. Oh no.
Hey, but I agree with you, Trash. They put all this stuff on the news, man. That you know it's just bad energy stuff, right? Like, and then a story like this, it might have made the news. I quit watching it, right? But you know, I think that's you, Jess. I quit watching the news. So, but they need to share stories like this more.
I know, because it wasn't even one of the top stories. It was like, when we were
It's
looking, it was
buried.
like off to the side. Like, I was like, wait a minute, what is that? Like, we need them front and center.
Yeah.
And
Jess,
Man,
you
can y'all
working?
hear me now? Y'all can hear me
Yes,
now?
ma'am.
yeah,
Yeah.
Man,
yeah.
we really had some problems because there's a button I ain't pushed. That's the problem I had.
What?
Man,
What you
You
say?
listen.
had the solution though. That's good.
Right.
Yeah, no, I
All
got the
right.
solution. But I was about to say, first of all, I was just going to comment on that. But
Introduce
I heard it was
yourself.
oh yeah, that's right. You're right. I am Ginger, aka the BK Bruja Laughs. I am the one of the black masterminds. I'm being introduced to the introductory. We got problems. Definitely doing it all. Card reader, read your mind, read your thoughts, read your past, present, and future. You know that kind of stuff.
So, what are your thoughts on the story?
First of all, my kids ain't doing enough. I'm about to have them do some spelling bees. But nah, I was just thinking like how great it is that it was one of the first black female students and one of the youngest black male students that were on the team. And so I just think about our black excellence and how, our youth are definitely showing us the way. So, definitely proud of them. In 3 years in a row, that's not easy, especially with COVID and everything else going on.
I definitely agree with that.
And this is the article right here that we found on blacknews.com. Like to give shout outs to them. And so, with that being said, they went against 25 other countries. Can you imagine? We have, Japan and Russians and,
I mean, we
Germany.
always knew we were great, though.
I know.
They just trying to hide it.
I know. It's always getting buried.
You know the thing is that once we push in an area, like right, you know why we not great at swimming? Because we don't have swimming pools in the backyard. Right? If we had swimming pools in the backyard, then you'll see us in the Olympics swimming. Right? Like kids can't go to the parks no more because most of the gangs hang out in the parks. So you can't really take them there to swim, right? But on a basketball court, that's why we have more basketball players, because the basketball court, you could put 20 guys out there and 5-on-5 run all day, right? And then 20 more can come, and then we get great at that, right? Same thing with baseball. You could put a baseball out there, and then if you look at where hip hop has taken us, baseball is not even cool no more. They was trying to integrate hip hop into baseball, but they don't really want to take it as that, because baseball is still, don't mean to say it like this, but white America's sport, right? Like midday sport, right? Apple pie, that type of picket fence type deal. So they don't want to integrate that hip hop in there. And then so now you see more foreigners take over that sport. Right. But when blacks do get in something and we put our heart in it, then we can do well. And that's with anything. That's even with doctors. That's even with politicians. That's with everything we do. Like, look at the entrepreneurs we got going on now, right? When you look all over the United States, we're getting into spaces to where we can dominate, right? And then just to see our kids knowing how to research and people teaching them how to research, and they researching topics and being able to speak about it and debate about it. But when you're a good debater, that makes you a good lawyer.
Right. And you said something about us swimming. I read a story earlier this week where there was a lady that's actually teaching young black kids to swim, because most are afraid of water. There's a lot of us drowning because we're afraid of water, because we don't have pools. We don't know how to swim. But she's making it her mission to teach as many as she can to swim. and I thought that was a good thing to do.
Well, it's the same thing. What Jess said when she came on. My kids got to do more, so now I got to have them debating and doing some spelling bees. So we got to push our kids that way. Believe it or not, one of my kids is in debate. She's taking debate, and then I have another one that's on the swim team. She made the swim team. My son didn't make the swim team, but my daughter did. His twin did. So it's good to hear stories like this. So we know that, because at first I didn't want her in debate. I wanted her in something else, and then I think we had her in too much. Is why I was kind of trying to cut some down, and I was trying to let her get what she wanted. She really wanted to play basketball. They wanted her in choir and all that. I said, okay, so we can give up choir. We can give up choir. We got enough singers, right? we need some debaters, right? We need some more debaters, right? So I'm excited for her to be in debate now, just knowing that you have a story like that. I'm gonna actually sit her down and share that story with her so she can know and have something to look up to and somebody to focus in on to be great like them, right? You don't have to live up to their expectations, but at the same time, you got somebody you can be great like.
You might want to pull out Great Debaters.
You know what? I think I remember seeing that movie, right? A few years back, right? Yeah.
Denzel
and and you're gonna have fun going to watch some debates too.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. They the only bad thing, I can't go right now. That's one of the things they said, we can't go because of COVID, right? So, but hopefully they do it online and we'll be able to see them online. At least let them be online.
Right.
But it's really about that exposure, like you said. What you expose your kids to is what allows them to excel. And like our kids, I don't know if you ever read that book on how to cultivate the black gifted child. I think that's the name of the book. But there's a book about how to cultivate and develop the black psychology and the giftedness of our kids, because clearly they are sponges, right? And the fact that even with COVID, I mean, just everything that has happened, these kids are resilient. And so it's really important that we're still pouring into them, even in the midst of all this that's going on. The fact that, like you said, 3 years in a row, they won hands down. And look at the Olympics. But I just wanted to talk about, because I noticed that this happened during the Olympics, where once we get into a sport or we're doing something, it's no longer like, like we're considered, like we're not, the sport is no longer the sport where it's competitive. It's like, oh, well, black people are now doing this. It's like, oh, well, they don't qualify because of, like, they're always trying to find ways to disqualify us. And I think that's really something, and just the language they use when we're in competitions, when black people start to excel in that, is like the language they try to use to discredit us and try to like kind of push the bar back, even though they see us still moving the bar and the needle so much higher, where everybody else has to meet us at that level. And I think they were talking about that during the Olympics too, where it was just sometimes we were in certain competitions and it was like, oh, if you swim and you can't wear, your hair a certain way with the swim cap, or now all these little like rules and things that never existed all of a sudden start to show up. And it's like, well, where was that in the rule book? We read the book front and back. Where did that come from? So I think that speaks about how this world sees us, and how do we change that narrative, right? Every time they go low, we expect it to go high. So what does that look like, for us in all sports, everything that we do? Because our kids are starting to grow up and be in that same arena.
Well, the thing is, what I see is, again, anything we touch is gold. It's always like the Midas touch with us. But you got to chalk it up to our genetics as well. Like they already did like tests on like babies, how they develop. So the black babies, of course, they develop cognitive functions faster, a lot of things faster. If y'all go look at some of the works of what's his name, Edward W. Robinson, Dr. Edward W. Robinson, he talk about like some of the gene codes that's found in around the world, like 5 to 6 codes with like the Asian community, the white communities, but mostly of the African descent. It's 9 to 12. So automatic, and they wonder why we're so resilient. Is because of how we know how to maneuver throughout this thing. I mean, you can put us in the worst conditions, and somehow we find that little light, and we make it through.
I think Maya Angelou said, "And still I rise."
Exactly.
That's a good one.
in that order.
Yeah, I think there was a uh another store we were looking at too with
Yeah.
a mother and daughter. They
Mm-hmm.
got a store in one of LA's malls.
It was kind of crazy when we found that story. I actually my wife told me about it, and she was like, "Well, let's go look in there." I was like, "Well, I'm getting my little haircut. I don't have
Yeah,
time. I'm gonna
what?
sit down."
My little haircut.
No,
A big
Milo,
haircut.
Milo.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, ain't no
Okay.
little nothing. Ain't no little nothing. Milo's
Okay.
haircut. But I cut my own hair because I cut it all off, right? But anyway, so I decided to go in there, and the coolest thing about the store is they have all black products. And so I actually have their number, and some of the people that we kind of know that has products, I'm gonna reach out to them and let them know that if they want to work out something with them and have their product in the store down here in Los Angeles, right? Like, and then you can kind of promote your product and tell people to go pick it up at that store. And then that store get a little popularity, get a little get seen, and then you can move your products, right? Because a lot of times, like what I like about that store is we need more stores like that to where you get outside products, because what can happen is now you can learn to be a distributor and not just a seller to the first line customer, right? You become a distributor and sell boxes. You might lower your prices, but now you can sell product to stores, right? Now once they know you're in a store, what they do on Shark Tank, they get to tell them, so where do you have your products at? And now you actually have your product in a store, so that's leverage, right? And then just moving that way.
And again, this is another article that we found on blacknews.com. Again, shout out to them. Uh, do anybody know the back history of them? Right offhand?
I, I believe she was teenage mom, single mother.
Yeah. At 16,
Yeah.
16, she had to figure this out.
And I believe they both have college degrees now. I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember what they were in though. But
Let's see. All right. Lakeisha, she graduated from college and going on to become a very successful entrepreneur.
Hold up. Did y'all see that she's also a owner of a tech CEO of a tech company?
Yep.
Homegirl ain't just out here with a clothing
uh-huh.
line.
A,
Right.
a Google supplier and a government contractor. Caitlin, the daughter, she just got a bachelor's degree in strategic communication from California State University, East Bay.
So they creating like a little ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
Right, where they're gonna work it. Hey, but you know one thing I love is and it's some men holding it down, right? But the ladies been holding it down when it comes to entrepreneurship. I was reading an article and they were saying how many black women has become entrepreneurs and the new leader in businesses open for 2020, right? Like tons of women open businesses for 2020, and I thought that was really cool. I think the men, right? Like when I say men, I know it's a lot of men out there that's getting busy, but the dude that call himself the street dude need to start getting some street business sense, right? Like the street knowledge is cool, but we need some book sense to go with that too. And then that's when you win 3 debates in a row, right?
Mm-hmm.
Back at some.
Well, I think
But you
the
got to do
narrative.
it with the babies though. When we try and start too old, it's kind of hard to catch on after we get dudes that set in their ways and they act like they can't learn anything different. But then you go ahead and you start with the youngins and you get them at a young teen or at an age where they're impressionable, and we can kind of keep black excellence alive in them, so we don't never let that flame fall out of them and get caught up with the realities of the world. And they start getting stressed out and thinking what they have to do while they still have that fearlessness of it. I think I don't know if y'all saw back when the Olympics when Gabby kind of got thrown off. When she got older, she wasn't as fearless as she was as a 13-year-old flying in the air, doing all these crazy moves that no one could do. Gabby was fearless as a child, but now as she got older, now you have to go ahead and realize this: you're gonna be spending 4 times in the air if you don't complete it. This is the cost, and if you land wrong, you might hurt this. Things that you don't worry about when you're a kid. When you get older, you start to worry about it. So while we got them young and hungry, we got to keep that fire burning in them and make sure we don't let it die out when they get caught up in the realities of the world.
Hey,
Family,
I
kids.
totally agree with you, Trash. But one thing that I beg to differ is that um, we still have to go after those older guys, man. And one thing I found, because I worked with them, right? So one thing I found is that they get to the point to where the ego won't let them do certain things because they don't want to be embarrassed. They don't know how to fill out a resume. When they ask about a resume, they ask them what level of education you have. These are the questions that get asked in interviews, and you got to say I dropped out of high school, right? That hits the ego. So with me, what I've learned is that I give them tools. Already have your resume ready. We fix that resume, and then you study this resume. When you go in there, be able to say what's on your resume without looking at it. Be able to talk about the job, like whatever they go. Like if somebody take me to where, did you ever go to college? No, I didn't go to college, but I have 20 years experience in the safety world, right? Like I'm gonna deflect, just like an old politician. When you ask them, hey, but governor, didn't you set a law? But no, we working on things to get the community right, right? They change the subject every time, and we got to learn how to do things like that. And then we got to teach these older men or these adult men to go in interviews or to go in places and be confident with the information that they have. So we got to give them the tools, right? Like I totally agree with us raising the little kids and making sure we get them right, because we don't want them to steer wrong. But we got to march those other guys, because what I found out just recently, I sent out a job, right, to some people I know. A couple of people hit me back and asked me, okay, what I need to do? Should I do this? And what to say? So, but I'm not in the position for this one to walk them in the door. So usually when I can walk them into the door, then they all for it, right? Like if they had somebody to tell them, hey, look, you don't have to wear a tie to this one. You can wear just a regular shirt, or you need a tie for this interview, right? We need somebody to teach them type of things. And we got to teach that to the older guys.
Yeah, because I remember seeing somebody we had a guy one time go for an interview at a construction site, and my man showed up to the interview in a hard hat, had on the construction belt, the Timbs, the jeans, and had on the he went and bought the vest and all that. And it's just like, people really need to notice. And I think we talk about our Black excellence, but there's also a population of young people that are not connected at all. They're not connected to anything. And it's like, we definitely need to make sure we're connecting all of our Black excellence. And, we highlight the ones that are good, but we also need to highlight and make sure we're taking care of those that are not.
Yeah. And a lot of people can make changes. They can always pivot. They can always, you can be the drug dealer that end up having a multi-million-dollar company. I mean, it's
right, because they're already great at business.
Yeah,
whether they know it or not, they know the ins and outs of business.
Yeah.
Well, the CEO from Tesla just said that. He said that the best person to run a business is the street hustler. He said the people in school getting the book smarts and all that ain't where it's at. Like, because a lot of people, if college professors were so smart, wouldn't they be millionaires, right? And so those making a million, exactly, right. But those making a million is the ones that got that experience.
Yeah, it's all theory until you go grind.
Right. But most of them are still stuck in that mentality where they gotta sell they gotta do the illegal stuff instead of. But if they would just switch the product, like
switch the product,
that's all you gotta do. You can sell it. It's gonna go like hotcakes, no matter what you do, because you've been used to selling. You've been used to marketing.
And you got to use them same strategies, right? Like some people that know that they was marketing when they figured out ways to break down an ounce and sell a bag, right?
10.
Right? Yeah, 2 for 10, right? So all that's marketing skills, right? even giving credit, building a relationship, right? So,
Consignment.
when you wanted to expand, you moved out of town, right? Like so, it's and then you had to figure out how to ship your product, right? Like it's a horrible thing when you think about it, but at the same time, it's business, right? You had to re-up, you had to go get the supplies, right? Like it's business.
I mean,
right?
Word
it's
of
like
mouth
we had
marketing, all that.
It's just like
It's the
bootlegging.
same logistics, the exact same logistics of running a company is ran in the streets as well.
Hey, trust me, I run mine just like that. Like when I purchase books, I go purchase books and I double up, right? As soon as I sell enough books to get some more, I go get the more books before I spend anything. And some people look like, man, you still already have 300 books left. I like, no, so now I got 500 sitting. You got to remember, like, right, like when we look at certain products, they don't look at that. You can go get some wallets, right? Like a lot of black men don't sell wallets. So you can go get wallets and say, man, this is why you need wallets, right? Because you got to have credit cards. Where you going to keep your credit cards at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so matter of fact, I'm going to start getting some wallets as I teach people how to do credit, right? They start getting their credit cards, then they need to put them in some wallets, right? Like I'm going to have to sell you a wallet.
Look at a branded marketed wallet with your little logo on the bottom and, you know, authentic cowhide, not that vegan leather. We want that real stuff.
Yeah. Hey, you know, somebody told me I had on some gators and somebody told me, I thought you was a vegan. I said, I am. They said, well, what you doing with gators? I said, I ain't going to eat them.
Well, they think most people are vegans because of the animals.
Yeah.
And that's what I have to tell
You
people.
gotta-
Like, I'm not vegan because the animals. Like,
Plant-based.
This ain't Peter.
We're plant-based. You know, a lot of people want to go. A lot of people want to go real over serious on what your products are tested on. You know what I mean? Like I remember they said you couldn't eat honey. Like vegans don't eat honey. Like okay, I went as extreme as I could, and it wasn't until my boy Form really got me up on my bee pollen and getting my immune system together that I incorporated honey back into my diet. But it's just me. To each his own. I didn't go vegan because I wanted to go ahead and save all the animals, and I just you know, it's a process to this thing. I don't eat meat because I don't agree with how they source the plants, the animals. So if you can get well sourced meat and you know, it's okay. We still go with the 80-20 rule. So
yeah, that's a good way. That's a good way.
But you got to remember who said that they were saving the animals when they were vegan. And I'm gonna just be very blunt about it. It's those who have privilege, right? Because you ain't got to worry about, you know, food insecurity or food deserts in your hometown or all of that other stuff. So of course, yeah, you vegan because you're saving the animals. I mean, you done took up every other cause. Why not, right? But for those who are in the melanated family, you know, we become vegan and plant-based for health reasons, right? Things that we didn't have access to it for what have you, for the lack of better. And then the animals, yeah, we all for the animals not being slaughtered and all that, but it comes back to our health and just being able to connect to having healthy food because, you know, yeah, of course you want to do it for the animals. What else you got to do? You got all the money, you got everything else you want. I mean, sure.
Well,
and so that myth.
Hey, they create the problem and then come back with the solution.
Hey, so
That's the story, ain't it?
Just think about when we really start eating healthy as a community, as a culture, and you think we excel in sports now and excelling in debates now. Just imagine when they're eating healthy and then learn to meditate and really get back into nature, right? Like putting our feet in the sand, putting our feet in the grass, right? I saw them. They found some shoes, right? That was so many years old. And they had magnets on it. I don't know what that's about, but somehow the magnets were creating something with the earth, right? Like, and they said it was around for years and years, and I'm not sure what it is, but just think when we get back to that spiritual being that we supposed to be, then shit, man, black excellence to the next level.
Oh, it's happening. It's coming. I don't know about y'all, but it definitely is going down.
It's already here. It's already here. You're looking at it.
You're looking at it.
Exactly. And no matter how
like
much they
Voltron.
try and bury the stories, we're still going to find them and we're still going to talk about them.
Yeah, the worst thing they could have ever done was create the internet.
Yeah,
now
they
just
know that
ban it and say it's against what is
against
it?
our
Against
rules.
the standards.
Yeah.
And that's why we, you know, like me personally, like that's why I'm creating these websites so we can start funneling people to the website to come watch the show. So if they want to ban us, take us down, or whatever, everybody know where to come. Unless they just totally do some significant shit to say, hey, let's take them off the fucking web hosting and stuff. So it what we have to do is just stay solid with one another and just keep grinding, you know, and we'll continue to create the solutions.
And Black
Yeah,
excellence.
I agree. It's all about like what we saw now. Like I would love to see them kids start some type of business, right? Even with our kids, we don't think about it, right? Like we talked about even swimming, right? Like you can become a great swimmer and then you can open a swimming school,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You can learn karate and then now you can have a karate school. Right. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's so many things we can do. We just don't even think about it. Right. Like we don't think about that business. I know a family that runs a karate school. Right. And the whole family is black belts. Whole family badass. Right. Like, and they teaching the kids, they teaching them young, but they'll accept us too, trash. Like seriously. Right. Like, and then
Okay.
they work with us. Right. And I get it. We got to want to do it. Right. But at the same time, they work with us. Sometimes it's about just putting the ideal out there so you can help people get to their black excellence, right? Like I got a cousin, man, and I think I told y'all about him a couple of times. He was in and out of jail most of his life, man. His first son was about 7 or 4, yeah, about 7 when he did his last little stretch, right? And then his twins were like maybe 2, and he did 10, man. Came and came back, everybody big, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like damn near can't hardly tell him nothing, right? But he told me, he said, man, I'm done this time, man. I said, all right. And things work out for people when they decide to do the right thing. Soon as he said he was done, somebody came to me and he got out. He did everything he was supposed to do. Somebody came to me and said, hey man, I need a guy right now with the company I was working for, and we pulled him in, and he became one of the best employees over there. He started making money. He started taking his kids places. He enjoyed life, right? That's why I said we can't give up on these older cats, right? Because they get another shot. We don't know when they're gonna wake up, right? At some point they wake up. Hopefully it's not too late, right? And don't
Yeah.
lose their kids.
Everybody wake up at different times.
Right. And sometimes it just takes one person to believe in somebody. Like you can see them, you can, as long as you just see something and encourage them,
Yeah,
you know,
because
that
some
could
people
be the one spark that
that
they
one
need.
spark. Yes, that
But
one
where
spark.
do we start at though? Like, where's our starting point gonna be? Like, do we start at the 20s? Do we start at the 30s? Or do we
No,
start at the guys in the 40s? Or do we
every
just be open?
every
Because we got to think about how we gonna formulate this. My thing is we have to formulate organizations that we can actually do some real good with them, and we got to be able to make it realistic to like have something. How many 40-year-olds are we gonna be able to attract to a debate? Something about debating. You know, we got to be able to get their credit fixed, but then you got to get them to humble down to come to us. And most people come with egos, and if we start with financial literacy at a young age, we have a better shot. I love working with our older people, but it's hard for me to go after older people when you deal with so many egos and people who want to be right all the time. It's just really hard because people always love to be right, and it's hard to get your point across. And I don't want to debate with anybody about which way is up or down.
Hey, so when you got the solution, can't nobody tell us how to run the solution, right? Like you already the problem, so you got to come for the solution. But what I've seen at Maxine Waters had have a school here in Los Angeles, right in Watts, in the heart of the ghetto. You know where
Over
Watts
on
at, trash,
Central,
right? Like,
over on
yeah. So
Central, I know what you're talking
I
about.
went to that school, right? I went to that school, and that school changed my life, man. And then I met a bunch of brothers that was from all over the city where we're not even supposed to
Every
hang
hood
out
gotta go
together,
there.
right?
Every
Yeah,
hood gotta go
we
there.
wasn't
You
even
already
supposed to hang
know.
out together. And you know what ended up happening, man? We end up living together, right? We end up living together, protecting each other, loaning each other money when we first was getting started. We traveled all around the United States working. And then everybody like got on this page that it wasn't about the streets no more. Everybody was talking about raising their families and making sure their families were straight. right? You had guys talking about like, man, no, I want to create a legacy. We wasn't saying legacy, but we were saying something to leave to my kids, right? We wasn't even on that legacy tip. We was just thinking what I'm gonna leave to my kids. And these guys, man, some of them still traveling in the United States right now. I got another partner, man, that I took out there with me, and he got a job, end up changing his life. Every time he go buy a new car, he come let me see it, and he thank me for him getting the car. Right? Like, dude, that's all you, man. I'm done with you, right? Like, you got the game now, but that's just him coming and showing that respect, right? Like, dude, you brung me back, man, and I appreciate him for that. But at the same time, dude, just I tell him go teach somebody else the same game he learned.
And people got to be ready to do the work. I mean, I think that's the biggest part of the ego is when you get out of your pride and understand that it's not a prideful thing. We got to do the work, right? Because at the end of the day, like you said, that was a saying I used to hear all the time before people were saying they want to leave a legacy. I want to leave something for my kids, right? And then turn from I want to leave something for my kids to I want to build generational wealth, right? And then we got I want to leave a legacy. So just the words we use, and we just showing how our longevity is changing and evolving. And so, we got to meet people where they are. And I don't like to sometimes put an age of where you want to start with people, it like limits folks, because it's like I'm 16 and a half, so I don't meet that 18-year-old mark, or I'm 25.6. I don't meet the 26-year-old criteria where you cut it off at that point. So it's just like, I think a lot of the times it's just meeting people where they are. And if you really about it, you're going to do that work. I'm going to meet you where you at and give you one half, and you got to bring the other half, because age ain't nothing but a number, right? Everybody got to, learn what they're going to learn when they're going to learn it. But you got somebody who's 60 that might be like, yo, I'm ready to do this work. I'm ready to do this and become a millionaire at 62. Right. That, age is nothing but a number. We got to just focus on meeting people when they're ready and where they at.
And that's the thing, is we got to get them when they're ready. Like, they have to be ready or it's not going to work.
Sometimes just having a conversation let them know if they're ready or not, so the spark will start happening, right? Like one thing I do, like I told you, I sent the text out to a bunch of people I knew, and that's it. I ain't pressuring you. Then the ones that was interested, they hit me back. The ones that wasn't, they didn't. So I don't need to go talk to them, right? Only ones I need to talk to is the ones that hit me back, that showed some interest. And then now, if I seem like I'm bothering you, then I'm done. I back off, right? And then they're like, damn, man, I had a shot, man, but I missed it. And then they're going to hit me back again. If it ain't there, it ain't there. But I'm going to never turn my back on you, right? Because this is what I do, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to look them straight in the eye and say, look, what you're doing is not working. Let me guide you. Let me help you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but then that again,
I know it. It becomes ego.
Way.
Yeah.
It's like you gotta get them when they're ready, but you can steady plant seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can always plant a seed.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to give them hard love, some tough love.
Yeah. It's certain. Well, here in Los Angeles, it's only certain ones you can get that tough love to, right? Because some of these egos is they got killer instincts in them, right? So not that you got to be scared of nobody. I ain't saying that, but it's just that some people just if they ready or not. If they still out there actively gang banging, then they really not ready. But if they trying and they trying, like you can see when a guy's trying, right? Like the conversations I have is quite different than some of my other people, right? Like I hear them when they talk in conversations, they talking about street stuff. When they come talk to me, they talk about a job. They talk about how they saw somebody doing this that they want to do, right? The conversations change. I heard, I can't remember who it was. Oh man, it was one of the rappers said that, KRS-One. He said, you don't have to like tell Nicki who to be like. When that person get next to Nicki, she'll know, like Nicki Minaj. And she showed so much respect for Lauryn Hill one time. And they were saying like, that's because she know Lauryn Hill been straight up and been a lady, been a real queen. So she showed that respect, right? Like, so they know, and then they can change accordingly, right? Like, and then sometimes, man, we got to think that some people just put up a front.
Yeah.
Right. Some people just put up a front. That's what you have to do to be in the hood. Like you, sometimes it's a front and then it turn into something else.
Yeah.
Right. But it started off as a front. You trying to fit in.
But normally, like when they put up a front, they're hiding who their true selves are. Right. And then if you can break that core, if you can break that shell and slip some slip a seed in, and you'll see it grow. Because so many times when me and the wife we had the convenience store, I talk to the children, I talk to the older people, and then they'll come back and, oh man, I went and researched that, I looked this up. Now they know what I'm about, and they'll come back for more information, old or young. And then sometimes you can speak to the young ones, but they don't get it right then, and next thing you know, they're in a casket because they out here trying to do like the so-called hard rappers. And so I saw like 2 kids die. Not die, but they died. You know what I'm saying? They was coming to the store often, you having conversations, and the following day they dead on the news because he was an opposition. They ran down on him. Had another fellow, young boy, he was trying to go to school, and he missed the bus at this one bus stop, and at the other bus stop, he got gunned down with an AK. That's traumatizing to the other kids. So we got to continue. I mean, if we had the knowledge, let's continue to give the knowledge. Let's continue to help. You know what I'm saying? Because that one thing can set off a whole different trajectory for somebody.
No, you're absolutely right with that, Ali, because I've seen it too. Definitely. But keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can't throw your people away. That's the only thing. I mean, old or young.
What I mean is we have to start teaching our kids young. I think what you're talking about is the value of their bodies. I don't think our kids know the value of their bodies. When you said walk down on the opposition or do something that the rap music is teaching the kids to glamorize these days, the savage lifestyle, and just really not having a value on the body. So we have that in our community so rampant, and it's really sad because when you don't call him your brother or you don't speak life into that next person, it's easy for you to speak some belittling stuff into your mind, and either calling them an op or whatever. You talk about what you're gonna smoke or whatever, and you glamorize all this murder and killing, and then when the kids go out there and actually live it out in real life, and they realize that ain't no reset button, because they've been playing all these little video games that tells them that you're gonna get a reset button and you're gonna be able to come back after you kill somebody. They don't realize that these video games that they're simulating in the kids' head to go kill and murder and become friendly with guns, and they don't realize that these are training these kids to go do stuff that they can't come back from.
And it's desensitizing.
It's real desensitizing, and they're doing it at an age before their brains are fully developed. So,
well, it's all during the development stage, right? It's happening during that development stage, and that was strategic, right? Because that aggressive center of your brain is constantly being stroked when you on these games and doing all of that. And I think the biggest part we miss it in our communities is that compassion, right? Because I grew up in the hood, and like all the hood dudes knew the kids that went to school and was like, "Yo, what you doing? Don't be standing over here talking to so and so. Take your ass at school. You need to be at school." Like they were looking out for the younger generation, and we've lost that connection to that. Each one lift as we climb, right? I know I'm not doing the right thing, but I'm gonna make sure y'all cross the street and get to school okay, because we know that shit was going on where they were shooting last night. I mean, we had compassion for each other, and I think we've lost a lot of our compassion. And we got to get back to that. And you, like you said, this senseless gun violence. I mean, you got these kids out here that's listening to these rappers and listening to this lifestyle of like, you shooting up, but then they going out when they supposed to be in these gangs, quote unquote, never shot a gun, and then they shooting innocent kids that ain't even a part of the gang life, right? To prove a point, to show that they gully, as they say, or they're about that life. And it's like, no, you're not. You out here shooting innocent kids that ain't got nothing to do with gang life. Now that's the problem. And I work with young people that just, you got to get your life together, because at the end of the day, that block you holding up, where you talking about you holding up that corner, tomorrow's going to be a Rite Aid, and you don't own nothing on this block. Yeah. Y'all don't own no property. Y'all don't own nothing but your car and the rent, the lease that y'all got for this apartment. So I think it's back to that. Right. Right. My grandma might have put y'all on the lease before, God forbid, she rested. Right. That part. But, and I think, it's about
Mama, this my orange juice. Nobody
teaching that
touch
compassion.
my orange juice.
All right, Tupac, chill out. You got that juice.
Yeah, it's sometimes we don't understand some of these kids that don't get love. Like it's some kids out there that's not really getting love. When you really sit down and talk to certain people, like when I talk to some older dudes, they like, nah, my mom's never told me she loved me. And I like, damn, that's crazy. So it makes me make sure I tell the kids I love them every single day. I even mess with them. I say, hey, come here. Did I tell you today? They know already now. No, you didn't. I did. Well, I love you now then, right? Like they didn't get that growing up, them hugs. It was always get your ass in there, go outside somewhere, go do this. No, you ain't getting no damn food, right? Like, so we got to remember some of them grew up without that. So to get in a gang and then start getting theirs by any means necessary, they feel like they made it,
Hell,
right?
just
So
look at what happened to DMX.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. And then you got these older guys that they didn't got smart enough that they don't want to go back to jail, so they send the youngsters. So it's a bunch
But
of
they
things
shouldn't
going
be
out there.
doing that. They need to be
No,
teaching them how
they
to
shouldn't.
stay out instead of telling them, teaching them what to do and then teaching them how to survive inside.
That's a sad story because I remember conversations as I was growing up. My OGs was telling me, yeah, man, no, when you go to the pen, like they start the story off when you go to the pen because they
Right.
already know I'm going. Right? It's just a matter of when, right? And then they explain what you're supposed to do when you get there and what not to do, so you can have some type of ideal, right? Like, but that's what they felt was teaching because they didn't know no better. So somebody to have some knowledge like me, somebody like Trash, like Ali, we got to make sure we touching everybody with that knowledge so we can at least plant that seed. Because sometimes
I
it ain't
believe
about saving them; it's about planting that
we
seed.
got we gotta create an environment that's nurturing to everyone around us, and that comes from us doing our mirror work. And when we do our mirror work, we can have a good product that we putting out from that represents ourselves. We have to really raise our families. We gotta really see the men be men and actually raise their kids. That's important. You know what I mean? Just as important as it is to have the mother there and the mother to be nurturing, the young girls, young boys need to learn how to be loved by a male that ain't on no weird shit. You know what I mean? Like the father, you should be a good father to your children, and actually teach them how to be loving beings. So when you send them out into this world, you're sending complete kids out there. You don't send partial kids out there that don't know how to maintain a relationship, and then you wonder why they're full of baby mamas and full of baby fathers that don't know how to get along. We got to teach our kids their value so they not really just being touched by anybody. They value themselves not to let everybody touch them and not have everybody in their circle because everybody's not going to be complimenting to our kids' energy. There's some broken kids out there that come from broken places, and we can help as many as we can, but we really need to start at home. And then when you can have enough space at home, you can help the ones that are attracted to your kids and do the best job you can, represent being a good, positive role model to them. And then we start raising some loving kids. And as we go along, we're going to meet some parents that need some help too. You know what I mean? It's a million people that you meet. All of us are on here, and as much as we want to say we got our stuff together, we all got times where we need to throw an idea or two off of each other on what we going through, and we need to be a community like that. I think that's one of the better things that we got out of DG's group is that we had a community that we can all bounce ideas around on each other, and we can come to with problems or whatever we were going through at the time and we came back with really, really good solutions. And I really thank them for that because it wouldn't be possible without, what I mean, that after dark that we had and Kajabi and all the secret society. It was really dope. I appreciate it for that. I look forward
Built
to
a
seeing you
village.
doing do it.
Right, and
Yeah,
that's what it's about, that community, because that's what we getting back to, and it's sad because when we had thriving communities, it's like every other race person outside of the Black community hated that. Like, why? Like I think about Rosewood and all those places. Is like when we had our Black epicenters and we was minding our business, it was a problem, right? So it's just interesting how we
because
getting back to that same energy.
what it
Well,
represents though. what those communities represent is
Black
scary. It's
excellence.
terrifying. It's terrifying because what comes
It's
out of
black
there, they
excellence.
can't control. They can't control when we can actually monitor our own food and we can monitor our own funding and we can monitor our own banking and we don't need you for land and we don't need to go. We're a very, very dangerous people.
Yeah.
And we need to
But so are the
realize once we
Asians, and
get
now look, now America's in bed. They can't even get out of their own way. That they now got to go to those same communities that did that. I just think about how other communities were able to do that with no problems, and they're just as big as they get. They still thrive and what have you. And now America in bed with a lot of them signing contracts and doing all this third party outsourcing and all that. I mean, so what? Why can't we have that same leeway to do that and not be always considered a threat? And it just makes me wonder, like you said, like it's not just that it's a threat, but there's so much more to our history that they trying to keep covered, and that's
Yeah.
the real truth.
That's the real truth.
That's the
And,
real
and,
truth.
and
Black excellence.
we got to open up and be open for knowledge. We got to thrive for knowledge. Like I can
we
never
got to
get
get some
enough.
of these we got to get some of these dividers out of our way. We have so many dividers in our way, and we allow them to be in our way. We get caught up with race. I understand certain people are born in certain households that in different parents, different backgrounds, and everything. But if we get away from all of this race, this sex, we get away from all of these different barriers that they put in front of us to teach us that we're different from everybody. At the end of the day, everybody that wakes up, they got the same for as me. I don't look at nobody different. You know what I mean? Whether you were born in a family with melanin, if you're born in a family without, everybody got to wake up and get it. I judge you off your character. Get up and get it. You know what I mean? We all have our struggles, and we don't have a whole bunch of advantages. We know what the game is, but we wake up and play it every day. Why not?
Yeah.
Just make sure we
Like
win.
one of the biggest gripes is I want to believe, and I don't have a hate bone in my body. It's just that black people are being affected the most. Even on Africa, the continent of Africa, the Caribbeans and South America, we're being affected the most.
When you
I mean,
say
let's
when you
make no
say black
mistake
people,
about it. Like
when you
we're
say black people, people of color, melanated people, and that we go in all shapes and colors. So you can go
when I
from
say black
Asia
people,
to
we know
Europe.
what
You
black
can go
people are.
from but
We're
you can go
different
all over the
shades
world.
all across. I'm
Exactly.
just saying
But
for us
but
as
then when you
black
say
people,
Asians,
I'm not saying
can
Asians.
you but can you eliminate the melanated Asian person, or do you put them with the Asian people?
When you
Because we
say
have some
Asian,
Filipino brothers and sisters that are darker melanated than you and I.
I'm not talking about the Dravidians. I'm talking about black melanated people.
Mm-hmm.
When I say black, I mean Papua, you got New Guinea, you got all of these different aspects of us because we circumvented the world thousands of times. We're everywhere. But what they'll show in Malaysia, they'll show the white version. You know what I'm saying? If you go to the Philippines, they're gonna show the white version. They're gonna show the white version of everything. China. We was the first dynasty there. They're gonna show the white version on their TV screens. Just like South America, they're gonna show the white version. Telemundo and all of that shit. They're gonna show the white version. What I'm saying is how black people are being done wrong across the planet. That's what I'm looking at. You know what I'm saying? It'd be cool if we can just all be like, oh yeah, I wake up like this, and I see you, brother. But it's not happening.
I
Like I
get it.
had the
I
same,
get what you're saying.
yeah, I had the same debate. Like I told a family member, I like the prison system. The 13th Amendment is just another name or renaming of slavery because it's affecting us the most. All them brothers that's behind the wall, those are fathers. You know what I'm saying? Are warriors that was misguided or they had to do something in order to survive.
Or didn't have to do anything at all.
Yeah,
Just be blamed for it.
just be blamed for it.
Exactly.
And it's not happening to other races, it's happening to us. So I
You're
have to look
right.
at my community, my tribe, my people.
Let's get your
Like,
community bigger then, because I think our community is too small. I think we put
no,
ourselves as a melanated man in
no,
a
we're
small
the second
box.
largest group in the world behind the Asian community.
I'm
And
talking
we're
about
seeing
it in America.
and
So
we're
you talking about
seeing
the Americas, or are you talking
I'm
worldwide?
talking about worldwide. We having problems, bro. We having problems. We having major
Well,
problems.
didn't you just send
And
that
then
video about them when they was whipping the guy that was black and all the
exactly.
other black dudes were just sitting around watching it, and it was like the Asian dude was whipping them for quote unquote stealing, right? But if you know, and we know not every society has a system, a legal system that works like ours, where you know you get justice served in the courts or what have you. But just even watching that, you know, like my man should have got a boot to the back of his back so he could fall down them rocks because he was beating this man in front of these other men that look just like him. But if that man would have got up and challenged one of them men, they would have been ready to fight him, right? The other
Yeah.
black man that was on the ground. But the Asian man who's beating him with this little piece of rope,
Still
they
dead.
didn't see him as a threat in any way to what was happening at that moment. And so that desensitization and like you said, our ability not to see each other and be able to say that's my brother, that's my kinfolk, that's whatever, you know, that's my people's. And I get what you're saying too, Trash, where it's like, you know, when we say melanated, we're cutting out a large population, but you got to understand that population has also been lied to, right? They're told that they're Asian descent, right? But they don't even know what that Asian descent really means, right? And so you got a lot of these labels, and then now with COVID, it's like mask or no mask. Now we got other divisions that we worried about that we can't even get back to the building our communities because I'm fighting with you whether you gonna wear a mask or you 3 feet or 6 feet. Like, you know, it's just all of these labels that's constantly made to divide us further and further away from each other, especially even with this whole, I think what they got maybe 4 letters left in the alphabet before they added to LGBTQ.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the other ones are, and I
Element of
don't want
P.
to. Right.
Element of
X,
P.
Y, and Z.
No, they
Yeah.
just
So,
came with COVID 1.2. That's the newest one.
Well,
Look it up.
I have a video.
1.2 after the Mu. After COVID Mu, I think it was 1.2 is the latest one
Hey,
they
look,
came with.
so we got to think about too, though. When you think about slavery, slavery done a number on not just the people in America, it done a number on people all over the world. When you
Mm-hmm.
think like people come here, you know why they don't want to be considered black? Because that
You a
makes them a
kata.
slave. It makes them a slave. They don't want to be a slave. So I'm not black. No, I'm not black. That's the
Me
first
not
thing they'll
black.
say, right?
Mm-mm. No, no,
But
no.
but when we dig deeper, we got to dig deeper and deeper and deeper and know that we wasn't all slaves here. Like the more and more I research, the more and more I know that we wasn't all slaves, and it wasn't just about every black here was a slave. It wasn't like that. It was the divide and conquer with everything because we're naturally good people, and so we're giving people, and being giving people, we're easily manipulated, and now we manipulated so much to where we emotionally whipped, right? Like they drive everything with emotion now. So once we can get our emotions in check and be loving to ourselves, we'll be all
Hmm.
right.
Just like America recognizes so-called civilized tribes. What about all the other so-called savage tribes? Do you think that was not us? They considered them savage because they couldn't conquer the civilized tribe. They couldn't put them in their school system and educate them and make them forget their ways. So the other people probably was conquered, right? I mean, their history has been taught to us. So we don't know our true history here in America, so-called Turtle Island. We don't have to get into that, but I'm just saying, like, it's happening to us. It's not happening to Mr. Jim Smith, who runs the bank, and all these other people who has a leg up. It's been to us. Now it's like
We
we
just
not
lost
only
all
have
those
to.
kids in Ohio. I don't know if you
It's
paid attention to that. We just lost about,
it's
I
not
think,
it's
8
not
kids in
only us.
Ohio.
It's not only us that have to first get from under the fucking poverty, the poverty, that's when you start seeing our excellence, because someone down here, while they was in poverty, dropped the seed to them, told them they was great, told them they was phenomenal. So they was able to see that side of them, of themselves, not as the murderer or the killer or the block runner. They able to see themselves as someone who can take hold and have a business or do something great in life. The only reason we play basketball because of not enough resources. And we see that dollar figure when they show Michael Jordan gliding across the airwaves. That's the only reason we playing football, even though we banging our brains to death, because we see Emmitt Smith or some of the top running backs and receivers and stuff, because they wasn't promoting the quarterbacks, right? Now all of a sudden we have a cool ass quarterback. That's what I want to be like. So now you got a lot of kids who want to be the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? But we're promoting these sports, and I look at it as gladiator sports, where we're in an arena and you have the government that's running the money out the back door. That's how Rome fell. We're gonna create these coliseums and stuff, and we're gonna put them, make everybody come, and they're gonna fight, and they're gonna be entertained, and we're gonna pillage the pulpits. Same thing, it's just a different era. I mean,
well, Rome is already falling. If you haven't noticed, we are Rome.
Oh, yeah.
it's falling.
Yeah,
they can't. They don't got enough tape and paper and glue to keep this shit up. I'm just saying, but it's falling.
Yeah. But yeah, I would love for us to be all one. The only reason they keep the division is so you don't see the truth in the politics, what's going on. If I keep black man and a white man fighting, they'll never see out the smoke, out the clouds and shit, that it's the government that's fucking over us. It's the corporations. That's it. I got white neighbors, I got Asian and all of that shit, but it doesn't matter if we're constantly being divided by our own system. But I'm gonna leave it there. We got problems. Anybody want to take us out with the benediction?
Hey, you guys, I'll just say, hey, you guys, we had a special guest, Ginger, the BK Brewha Labs, my man, the Trash Vegan. We got the Butterfly Bully, and my main man, I am a grindaholic, and I'm Curtis G. Martin. You guys, thanks for listening, and we out. We got problems.
Okay.